Hey there, kiddos. Have you ever heard of Rankin Bass? Well, if you haven't, then here's a little backstory. Basically, Rankin Bass was an old company responsible for a bunch of low-budget Christmas specials distributed in the 1960s. Examples of these specials include Frosty, Rudolph, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Little Drummer Boy, and many, many more. I actually grew up with these specials and would watch them religiously on repeat pretty much every holiday season. I even owned this little DVD thing of each of them. I loved watching them. Okay, so right here we have the little DVD thing I was talking about. There's a total of 4 discs and 7 specials. Don't know what happened to this one, but there's the Rudolph one. Santa Claus Coming to Town. And the Frosty one. Now, if you take a little look at the Rudolph disc, you'll notice that there's another lesser-known special paired alongside it. This special, based off a book by Charles Dickens, is Cricket on the Hearth. Now, I'll admit, this was another childhood favorite of mine that I would watch a lot, almost as much as Frosty and Rudolph. I don't remember exactly why I liked it so much, but, I was still into it for whatever reason. Now recently, I decided to rewatch it to see if it was any good. And is it? Well, no, it's absolutely terrible. Now, compared to some of the other Rankin Bass specials, this one's actually a lot more forgotten about. Probably most likely because of the fact that apparently this special only aired once on TV, although it did manage to get re-released through DVD and VHS. Also, based off the movie's Rotten Tomato and Letterboxd scores, I'm assuming that people don't really like this movie. Plus, the 2 most popular reviews I was able to find of this movie on YouTube were incredibly negative towards it, so if that's not a sign that people don't like this movie, then I don't know what is. Also, just like Rhapsody Street Kids, another infamous Christmas special, this one has a celebrity cast, consisting of Danny Thomas, Marlo Thomas, Roddy McDowell, Paul Frees, Abby Lane, and many other people. So yeah, this movie is kind of all over the place. It's one of those movies that you have to see in order to believe. So kids, why don't we all sit back, grab some popcorn and some weed, and watch this piece of garbage light on fire. This is Cricket on the Hearth. We first open up with a live-action segment featuring Danny Thomas. Now you might be wondering why they even bother to include this since it serves literally no purpose to the story, and I initially did as well. Well, it turns out that this special initially aired as an episode of the Danny Thomas Hour, which probably explains that, and why it probably only aired once. Now, I don't really have anything to say about this. All that really happens is that he tells us about the original book and then proceeds to play the piano. We then get an intro song, which I'll admit is actually somewhat decent. It's not that great, but it's way better than some of the other songs that will eventually appear in this movie. Oh, and right, I forgot to mention, this movie is a musical. Whoop-de-doo. Anyway, after that, we're then introduced to our main character, the Cricket, as an old man. He basically brags about how if he and his good luck weren't around, then this house and the family in it wouldn't exist. Really cocky today, aren't we? We then flash back to many years earlier where he's just fancily walking around until he bumps into a toy maker named Caleb Plummer. Caleb accidentally almost steps on him and then picks him up and offers to let him move in with him. Because apparently crickets bring people good luck? Okay. But first off, you barely even know him. You literally just almost stepped on him and then just randomly picked him up. Why would you just randomly invite someone into your house who you don't even know? Also, why would you let a cricket into your house? Once you let an insect into your house, they're your worst enemy. They're the most annoying things in existence. Anyway, after that, we're introduced to his daughter, Bertha. Bertha's fiance, Edward, is about to leave for the Navy, and wait a second. Let me look something up. Well, this just got incredibly disturbing. Okay, first off, let me just mention, the animation in this movie is absolutely terrible. Now, I get it. This was made in the 1960s and they probably had a very low budget while making this. But that still doesn't change the fact that the animation still sucks. The characters have these incredibly dead expressions. Every single time they try to show any emotion, it just looks incredibly weird and unnatural. For example, Bertha. Throughout the entire movie, she has the exact same expression. And what doesn't help is her giant eyes, which make her expressions even weirder to look at. And I can literally never take her seriously whenever a supposedly emotional scene is happening. Also, is it just me, or did someone in the animation team have a little too much fun animating her? Anyway, after a very boring musical number, we then cut to a year and a half later where they're just making some toys until some deformed green guy shows up without even knocking. What's his problem? Was that a normal thing back then? But whatever. He then informs them that Edward got shipwrecked and has drowned. This devastates Bertha so much that she goes blind? Wait a second, that's impossible. You can't go blind from sadness. But we are watching a movie where crickets are treated like people, so I guess anything is possible in this idiotic universe. Anyway, Caleb spends so much money on trying to find a doctor to cure Bertha's blindness that they eventually go broke and are evicted from their home. After seemingly days, they stumble across a toy shop where the owner, Mr. Tackleton, hires them and even allows them to move in with them. The only problems are, 1, he won't be paid anything, and 2, there's no other employees, so he has to do all the work. Wait a second. If there's no other employees, then how is this place even in business? Tackleton should be broke and in the streets. Also, Tackleton has no actual character beyond being a prick. Like, that's literally the only reason he doesn't pay Caleb. It's because he's a giant douchebag. And that's his whole character. A douchebag. Anyway, after they move in, Caleb decides to lie to Bertha and say that the place is actually wonderful and that Tackleton made him the head of the factory and is really a nice guy. Wow. Caleb is an awful character. I'm serious. All he ever does throughout the entire movie is just lie. He just lies to Bertha about every single thing that's going on in their lives. And at literally no point does he ever get called out or condoned for his actions. Even after Bertha regains her eyesight, it's just completely forgotten about. I get that he's trying to keep her happy, but like, she's a grown woman. I'm pretty sure she's mature enough to accept the fact that their new home sucks. Or at least she should be. I don't know, maybe she's a spoiled brat. Then a few days before Christmas, Caleb bumps into Edward, I mean an old homeless guy who has both gray and blonde hair and totally doesn't look or sound like Edward whatsoever. He then lets not Edward move in with him, and seriously dude, once again with the letting strangers into your house thing. Anyway, once they let him in, he just starts creepily staring at Bertha. Then, once Bertha gets all excited about what's gonna happen this Christmas, we then get another song about the very first Christmas and how they didn't have any Christmas trees or fireplaces and all that junk. And to be honest, I actually do think that this song is kinda decent. I still kinda prefer the intro song, but this is still a huge improvement above the other songs in this movie. Then, on Christmas Eve, Tackleton announces that he wants to marry Bertha on Christmas Day. And because Bertha doesn't know what's been going on the whole time, she decides to go through with it. See what your actions have done, Caleb? You tricked your daughter into thinking that your lives are wonderful, and now she wants to marry your douchebag boss. Hope you're happy with yourself. We then get another song, and this one is probably visually the weirdest out of all of them. It shows Edward and Bertha as children and seesawing on a pie? Or pizza or whatever that is. I don't know, man. This is a very weird one, and it feels like I'm on acid. After that weird scene, not Edward shows up and is about to tell Bertha something, but then bails when she reveals that she's marrying Tackleton. So basically, from then on, the movie starts to get even weirder than it already was. Then in an attempt to ruin Tackleton's relationship with Bertha, Cricket decides to put pepper in Tackleton's tea, causing him to sneeze uncontrollably.
It was that Cricket made a fool of me.
Wait a second, how did he even find out about the Cricket's existence? At literally no point is it established that he knows that he exists. They don't even show a scene of like the bird telling him. Did it just happen off screen or something? Whatever, he then orders the bird to get professional help and try to kill the Cricket. I'm literally not making this up. Like, how could you be so pathetic that you're putting a hit out on a Cricket? You could literally just step on him or eat him or something. Literally all of that could be easier than hiring a hitman to kill him. And it'd be less expensive too. So the bird then goes to an anthropomorphic animal bar, and then the most confusing thing in existence happens. A singing cat voiced by Abby Lane shows up on stage and starts singing about fish and chips. No, I'm not making this up, that literally happens. It goes on for about a minute and serves absolutely no purpose to the story and is never brought up ever again. I don't know what the animators were on when making this scene, but I'm assuming they were probably making it for themselves and it just happened to accidentally make it into the movie. Anyway, after that mess of a scene, the bird meets up with a monkey in sailor uniform and a very buff bulldog where they plot to capture the Cricket and sell him to a sea captain who will bring him to China and sell him for good luck. Okay, but like ever since he moved in with them, their lives have gone to complete hell, so if anything, he should be kept as far away from the human race as possible. Anyway, they then kidnap him, tie him up, and throw him into a cage, and then give him to the sea captain, and once they do, this happens.
Now, where's our pay?
I've got your payoff
Right here, lad.
Yes, you saw that correctly. I did not edit that or anything. He literally just shoots them. I don't even have anything to say. This is just hilarious. I adore this scene because of how out of nowhere it is. He just shoots them. Why don't we play that again? That's funny. Anyway, the Cricket plays dead and the captain throws him into the ocean. And then with the help of all the other sea creatures, he manages to get back to land. He manages to make it back home around midnight, and then another very strange scene happens.
Blimey! The toys! It's coming to life!
Yep. All the toys just randomly start coming to life. It's literally never explained how or why they do. Oh wait, actually it is. It's because midnight is, in Cricket's own words, the 1 hour in the year when magical things are supposed to happen. Whatever that means. Also, for some reason, this elephant toy says that humans aren't supposed to know that the toys are alive, but they don't mind the Cricket knowing because he's not human. Which I would find believable if it weren't for the fact that literally every animal in this movie is treated like a human. Yeah, don't even try giving me that BS. The toys then lead Cricket to the old man who, big surprise, was Edward the whole time. Excellent twist, guys. I totally never saw that coming. So the toys, who somehow know what happened for some reason, explain that after being shipwrecked, he built a raft and sailed to an island for 2 years until he was found by a whaler and brought back to England. How did they know this? Well, it's never explained because they immediately go back to being toys 2 minutes later and just disappear for the rest of the film. So they literally only included them just to explain what really happened to Edward. How incredibly anticlimactic. So Edward wakes up and tells Cricket that when he came back and found out about Bertha's blindness, he thought that it would be wrong of him to come back into her life after she thought he died. So he put the disguise on as a way to still be with her without her knowing. I'm sorry, but that is some of the stupidest logic I have ever heard. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Your supposed death is the reason she went blind in the first place, so going back into her life would actually help her, you idiot. This guy might be just as bad, if not worse than Caleb. They both lie about basically everything to Bertha. The only real difference is that Edward actually gets called out for his dishonesty by Cricket. But like I said earlier, even after Bertha regains her eyesight, the fact that they both lied about everything is never brought up ever again. So after talking him into it, Cricket reunites Edward and Bertha, but they only animated them holding hands. It was probably due to the low budget, yada yada yada. So they get married on Christmas morning, and wait a second, how could they even arrange a wedding? Aren't they like broke or something? And how could they even arrange it that fast? This movie makes no sense. Whatever, I don't care anymore. But let's just finish this piece of garbage. Anyway, Tackleton comes back and starts crying about the fact that Bertha married Edward over him. Then she starts complimenting him and getting him all jolly and excited, and when he questions why, Cricket tells him, because it's Christmas. Wait a second. Are we just gonna ignore the fact that Tackleton literally tried to kill him earlier? Or the fact that the bird who he sent to kill him is dead now? Seriously, why do they not bring this up? Well, you know what? Who cares about all that though? Because it's Christmas. Forget all that BS. Who cares that literally everyone in this movie is either an idiot, a liar, or both? Who cares that literally nothing is ever brought up again? So yeah, that's pretty much it. That was Cricket on the Hearth. This movie is an absolute crime against humanity. The production team must have been high out of their minds when making this, because there's so many events that take place during this movie, only to never be brought up ever again. For example, the singing cat, or the fact that a bunch of animals were hired to get rid of a cricket and ended up getting killed. Or the fact that toys can just randomly come to life with no explanation. What is this movie? I know I already complained about the animation, so I just have 2 more things to complain about before the video comes to a close. First off, this movie has way too many songs. I literally can't go 5 minutes without hearing some annoying or cheesy song that goes on for at least 3 minutes. Like, I'm pretty sure Strange Magic had less songs than this. They're not even nice to listen to. Aside from those other 2 songs that are somewhat decent, every song in this movie is garbage. Not only that, but this movie is absolutely nothing like the original book. Now, I've never actually read the book, but from what I've read on Wikipedia, these 2 are completely different. First off, the main characters in the book are actually a married couple named John and Dot Perrybingle, while Cricket and the Plumbers are more side characters. John and Dot don't even appear in this special, so it's automatically inaccurate to the original. And I know I already brought this up, but Bertha and Edward are supposed to be brother and sister in the original, which makes their relationship in the movie extremely disturbing and gross. Like, they literally couldn't even adapt this special correctly. Okay, so if there is one other positive thing I actually do have to say about this movie, is that the voice acting is somewhat decent. The voice actors actually do work pretty well with the characters, but other than that, this movie is garbage. I definitely recommend this movie to anyone who's looking for something awful to laugh at, because this might be one of the most hilariously bad movies I've ever seen. Well, good night people, and happy, incredibly early holidays. I'm going to bed now. Goodbye. Hey Cricket, you like sitting on hearths, don't you? Why don't you sit on this? Don't try this at home, kids.